Good morning, everybody, and welcome to TRS Live. I am your host, Matt Trotz. Boy, I hope you had a fun and exciting weekend. I know I did. I got to do a little filming on Friday for the Guided Life. I got to do a little bow fishing, so watch for that episode coming out on Fix TV. But first and foremost, like I said, good morning, everybody. Hope your weekend was fun and eventful. But I wanted to tell you all about what TRS Live is really about. So I'm here to highlight some awesome products that the Real Shot carries. We are here overlooking the sales floor of the Real Shot. And the other thing too about those products that I'm highlighting, a lot of them I'm giving to you at a discount. Our goal here is, my goal especially, is to save you a bunch of money on some of the most sought after products right now in the outdoor industry. And which is cool because that means we have these products available. So a lot of things right now, wherever you may be looking, may be a little hard to find, and then if you do find them, they're not discounted. Well, here at TRS Live, we like to work a little bit backwards, right? So we're gonna have the products available, and we highlight all kinds of products, from firearm products to fishing products to archery to hunting products. But then the cool thing is not only do we have them available, but then we're gonna sell them to you at a discounted price, which is awesome. It's unheard of right now. Like, if you can find products, nobody's really discounting these things. So here at TRS Live, I'm here to educate you the best way I can, but then I'm also here to save you a bunch of money. Now, I had mentioned that I'm filming an episode for the Guided Life, which is on Fix TV. Let me tell you what Fix TV is all about. So Fix TV is a video on demand platform that brings you all these great shows like TRS Live, like the Guided Life, like the Jake Jacobs Show, which again, congratulations to the Jake Jacobs Show. Over 1,000 followers on TikTok. So yeah, we are on TikTok here on Fix TV. I know I have a page, Jake has a page, the Real Shot has a page. So if you are a social media person, head on over to TikTok and give us a follow on those pages as well. But you know, so Fix TV has the Jake Jacobs Show, has past episodes of Head to Head Fishing, again, has my great show, and you can also watch TRS Live over there. Now, if you are a Fix TV subscriber, we do appreciate it. Thank you so much. What you're doing by becoming a subscriber is getting access to some of those great shows, but you're also help supporting those shows. So right now it's $5.99 a month, right, to become a Fix TV subscriber. And then what happens is you automatically, with a little bit of emailing, get a $5 credit to use here on TRS Live and at therealshot.com. Because just another reminder, all the products that we highlight here on TRS Live are only available at therealshot.com. So we talked about it. You get a $5 credit to use over there at therealshot.com and at TRS Live. But then the other thing too is it's really easy. You refer a friend. If you go in there once you become a subscriber, and that $5 credit reminder is you only get that credit if you stay a subscriber to the Fix TV platform. But if you refer a friend and they sign up, you get yourself a month free of viewing. So it's basically 99 cents a month is what you're going to pay to become a Fix TV subscriber. Get yourself some $5 credits, get yourself some free viewing, and the other thing too is you help support all those great shows. So because all these products are available at therealshot.com, you got to have the website up. And as we talk about the products, you'll see a box come up with all the information, the pricing, you'll see an ordering code, a lot of that information, but I'll streamline that process for you. If you go to www.therealshot.com, you bring that all up. Then on the left-hand side is our awesome categories box. Like it has our fishing, our hunting, it has all those supplies. So you can really streamline your shopping that way. But if you scroll down, you're going to see TRS Live Shopping. You smash that button, boom, right away comes up our landing page, and then there's a calendar of events, right? Talks about some of the past shows, talks about some of the future shows with some of the products that are coming up. You scroll up, then you see all those products. Now here's the caveat with that. Some of those products may not be discounted anymore. Some of those products may not have inventories anymore because of the fact that we either sold out or, you know what, it was just a little bit limited sale price. So you got to pay attention. You got to watch TRS Live. The best way to do it is watch it every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time to get the deals absolutely right now, right here. You know, otherwise, if you watch it 24 hours later, 48 hours later, or after, those products may be gone and that inventory may be gone. Now you can do an easy thing. You can, hey, say, email me when that product comes back available, but the real good chance that product being discounted at that time is not the thing. So watch this show. Now, I know actually the Real Shot is doing a giveaway. I think we might be wrapping up on the days of that, but that's going to help you to not only get yourself in a chance for a Daiwa Tatula spinning reel, but it's going to help you become notified more when we go through these TRS live shows or anytime the Real Shot goes live. So follow along, go to therealshot.com, go to the Real Shot Facebook page, which is where you can watch TRS Live on the Real Shot Facebook page and on the Real Shot YouTube page. But then follow along in that giveaway, get yourself entered to win a free reel, and then be notified more when we go live here for TRS Live or the Real Shot. So, again, one last thing, if you haven't followed along on the Real Shot socials, now is the time to do that as well. So, we are here, we are ready to get rolling. Let's start Monday out by talking about the very first product. Now, this is a little one, but it has big, big benefits. This is the Akara Silicone Blood Worm. It is normally $5.99 for a pack of, what is it, like 100? And then right now on TRS Live, only at therealshot.com, $4.50 is what we got going on here. And I got my boy Scott here zooming in. Look at how tiny these little guys are here. This is a silicone bloodworm mimic. This thing is fantastic looking. And I mean, it has got some good durability for a small amount of plastic there. But how do I talk about this bloodworm? First and foremost, it's extremely small, but I wanted to educate you more on what the bloodworm really is and why you would want to purchase these to hopefully catch a bunch of panfish. Now, you can use it open water, you can use it through ice season. The Acara company, we've talked about the Nordman boots, they help us with that. They have a lot of fantastic products, but the bloodworm is an invertebrate, if I say this correctly. It is the most abundant and important diverse group of aquatic insects on Earth. Holy man, that is some straight up information. A lot of you, like myself included, like I've seen the bloodworm, but I had no clue what the heck it really was. So here's some more information. So I want to say that one more time here. So bloodworms, most abundant, important, diverse group of aquatic insects on Earth. There's the first thing that's going to help you out. Here's one thing too that I have to do a little bit of math here. A single meter can host up to 50,000 burrowing invertebrates. Now, 50,000. So for you and me, like I had to look it up. 1 meter is roughly about 3 foot, right? It's a 3 foot square. So in 3 feet, one of those areas could host up to 50,000 of these little bloodworms. So that lets you know right there, it's one of the most important, the most abundant, and in certain areas, there's a lot of these things. So what I'm going to tell you right now is these will help you crush panfish, whether it's in the open water or in the ice season. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more of their hatching to help you realize that ice fishing is really the highlight for it. So the other cool thing about these guys is in the winter, right, as you're looking down, and there's been a lot of good articles out there on it, there's been a lot of research on it, but they actually form like tubes. It's like a tube that comes off the bottom of the floor. And what they're doing is they're feeding on dying vegetation. They're actually called like nature's cleanup crew. They go through in the wintertime and they feed on that dying vegetation. So they form these tubes. They're called tube cities, I believe, or tube towns is what they're called. And that is the worms, right? It comes off the bottom, and they're kind of located in those tubes that form off the bottom. So if you're going through with a camera, or if you see what you think is a large area of vegetation in the wintertime, drop your camera down. There's a real good indicator. There's a real good chance that it's probably these tube towns, these bloodworm tube towns. So they're in there, right? And they'll come out low light situation. So just before dark or just before the sun comes out, they come out, and that's when they go feeding. That's when they're like, think it was like zooplankton and other things like that. They're kind of coming out, right? So they're not only feeding on the vegetation, but they're feeding on microbacteria and stuff like that. The panfish, the bluegills, the perch, the crappies, even bass, even walleyes will locate those areas and they will gorge themselves. Because you got to remember, in a 3x3 area, there could be at least 50,000 of these little guys squirming all around in the water. And if you look at it here, and maybe, I don't know, Andrew, what does our footage look like for these little guys? Or maybe Scott can help me out here. Scott zooms in. So they have segmented translucent bodies, so they're torsos. And they have little appendages, and those little appendages help them wither and undulate themselves through the water. And they have like a real small tail. I don't know, Scotty, I'm trying to show you on this one right here, but there's a real small little tail to it. You know, so that's it. So these are so small that as these fish come through, I mean, this actually looks like what they would look like when you get them out of the water. And some are not always this blood worm or red color. Some are kind of brown. It depends on their life, where they're at in their life stages. But, you know, this is a really good mimic right here of what they actually look like. So they're super small. So like one way you can fish them on a tungsten jig, you want to get them down there and it's a real little twitch, get that paddle tail, that kind of fin tail to move. The other thing too, there's micro drop shot techniques that you can do to fish them. But with all these, right, if I'm a big crappie or if I'm a big bluegill, I can eat a bunch of these in one bite, right? So I'm gorging myself. And a lot of times you'll know, like because the other thing too about it is there's feeding windows, right? We talk about how important feeding windows are. There's feeding windows. So all of a sudden, if your panfish are just under your ice hole and you're just pounding them, but then pay attention to as you're reeling them up, especially in some of that clear water, if they're throwing up stuff, it almost looks like they're throwing up blood, they're throwing up the blood worms. So it's probably going to be those low light periods. They come in and they're just gorging themselves, and that's the time to try to mimic these with the Akara Silicone Blood Worms. Drop those down there, catch a bunch of fish, and all of a sudden that window just shuts down. How often does that happen, right? Big school panfish move in, you're able to locate them, they're active, they're feeding heavy, you catch a bunch of fish, and then the next thing you know, that window shuts down. Well, that means the bloodworms have gone either back in those tube towns or they've cleaned up that area. Because you'll get huge schools of panfish and bass and walleye and northern all moving in, right? The more there's forage there, the more bait fish you're going to bring in, the more of your targeted species, and then those predators will also be in those same areas. So as you're scouting, you know, either it's this time of year or, you know, as we get into early winter type, go through and locate some of those tube towns. Sometimes it can be in 25 to 30 foot of water, the body of water too, and I don't want to give away all the information. You got to do a little homework on your own. But, you know, there's different bodies of water that are actually going to hold better portions of these. But locate those, waypoint them, let yourself know, because then when you come in the wintertime, those bloodworms are going to be there. Now, as we move into spring, right, those bloodworms are actively feeding. You know, we're getting through the portion of spring, late winter into spring. Now the larvae metamorphosize into pupa. Oh, this is like biology class up in here. I'm doing my best to educate you. And then they float to the surface. They hatch into what we call like a midge fly. Some people like to think they're like the lake flies that get so bad. But then they'll float up, and then it goes from like the feeding on this body style to feeding on the fly. So the fish kind of follow them up. As they hatch, maybe their bodies get a little darker as they're starting to metamorphosize into that pupa. And then they fly up and then they're gone, right? But then they have to do that all over again every spring. So that whole entire process. So I'm hopefully you're learning a bunch of stuff. I actually learned a bunch that these Acara bloodworms are going to get added to my arsenal. But, oh man, where did I leave off here? Like we said, they live in tube-like structures that extend from the lake floor. They call them tube towns. They travel in low light, the segmented bodies. So that's the one thing too, is if you start researching these bloodworms, and you see like the pile of them on your screen, it's a translucent body. So what that means obviously is if you hold these up to the light, you can see through those, but then it's segmented and it has a little fin portion on the bottom of it that is going to perfectly mimic what the bloodworms really, really look like. And you know, these are still pretty good, and I'll try to show Scott here. I'm trying to show you how small that plastic is. that sucker's still pretty durable. Like, I'm pulling on it pretty good, and I haven't snapped it in half yet. So that lets you know that it's going to be durable enough for many, many fish. But then, you know, fishing it again, we've talked about fishing it on tungsten, stand-up jigs, examples like the mud bug. There's certain things like that, and then micro drop shots are going to be some of the best methods to fish these. But this is one of those baits that you're just going to want to have available with you. Because if you are able to locate those tube towns and locate these bloodworms, this product right here from Acara is perfect to mimic exactly what the bloodworm looks like. The other thing too about bloodworms is that's something, if you live around this area, sturgeon love to feed on those suckers too. So it's like this bait, like just by what I said right there, the most abundant, important, diverse group of aquatic insects on Earth. This thing is probably an overlooked tactic for some of us. Now, hopefully on this TRS Live, you learned a couple of things, and I'm actually giving away some secrets about it if you already didn't know about it. But this is one of those specialized baits. A lot of us go for grubs. We go for mice or waxies, you know, spikes, mice, mousies, all that kind of stuff in the wintertime. Well, save yourself a little bit of money. Buy a pack of these, a 100 pack of these light ruby silicone bloodworms from Acara. And that way you're not going through live bait so much. That live bait, and if you're anything like me in the wintertime, if you don't get out ice fishing every single weekend or every single day, the next thing you know, your bait puck that you probably took advantage of on the TRS Live, you open it up next and your spikes or your waxies are brown, they're crusty, they're going through the same stages that these bloodworms go through in spring. Now all of a sudden you dump them out. And you got to start over fresh. You got to get a new pack of 36 or another 100 pack or whatever it may be. Save yourself a little time and energy and get the silicone bloodworms at $4.50 for a 100 pack. That's insanity. The other thing too is your hands. You're going to keep your hands warm. You're going to keep your hands dry by not having to dig around in that pack, not constantly switching out. I showed you how durable these things are. So this is one that I totally want. I will definitely try them this winter. I'm learning here too. Like, this is something that I've heard about them. I've seen them by being affiliated with the Real Shot, but I have personally never tried them. This is one that I'm going to add to my arsenal unless you beat me to it. Don't you beat me to it. I'm going to get a pack, 100 pack of these. And at $4.50, well, again, that's your fixed credit at $5. You can get one of these and still have 50 cents to use maybe some other of these products that we're going to be talking about on the rest of today's show. So again, the product that we're referring to, it's a 100 pack of the light ruby. They're 1 inch long Akara Silicone Blood Worms. Normal retail price, you see it on your screen, $5.99. We got them right now at $4.50. Look it up though. Do a little bit of homework on a bloodworm. And I think once you do that, you're going to be like me and you're going to be a believer, and you're going to definitely want to get a pack of these to use this upcoming winter and then maybe again in the spring. So Akara Silicone Bloodworm, take advantage, $4.50 for a 100 pack. But saying that, man, we are just getting rolling here on TRS Live. The next product, we've hit on the Z-Man stuff quite a bit here lately. The Z-Man Big TRD, or Big Turd, is coming up next after these commercial breaks. So let's have a little stretch contest. Let's get loose on a Monday morning, and let's talk about the Z-Man Big TRD once we come back from these commercial breaks.
I'm Gary Atkins, professional angler in the National Professional Fishing League. Tune in to TRS Live for the best deals on all your outdoor gear and apparel. If you're going to want a shot at the big bass, you're going to need the Real Shot. Take it from me, professional angler Gary Atkins.
it's Matt Trotz here with The Guided Life. We just met up with one of the guys from the crew, and he's like, they're on a hot track, so it's put her 4 high and get on these back roads and scream. Every year that I've been a part of that and I go to that class, I always learn something. So these guys are gonna join me, and the reason I asked these 2 guys in here is because we got Travis, who does a lot of public land hunting, and then Judd and I are private land, owners and hunters for the most part as well. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. We'll see you on the next one. Now you got me. Now you got me. I was muted. I was having a sandwich here at TRS Live Monday morning. Anyways, again, welcome everybody to TRS Live. I was your muted host, but now I'm able to talk. Matt Trotz, again, thanks so much for joining me. Smash those follows, smash that like button, follow us on the Tickety Talk. Let us know what you think of the show. Hopefully I do my best to educate you. Hopefully you learned a couple of things about the blood worm. Now this product, the Z-Man product, that's coming up next that you see up on your screen. Now, this is one of those products that we've talked about in a different facet. So either it's the Nedlock Z's, the giant TRD, and actually we had a stretch contest with that one. That's one of our most popular videos for the Real Shot on TikTok is our stretch contest. Now it's coming up. It's the Z-Man. It's the big TRD. There's 2 different colors which are available in 6-packs, and this is again one of these products that, why are we discounting it? It's like going to sell on its own. Don't discount it, especially now. It's an ultimate finesse product. The California Crawl and the Deal are the colors that are on sale. Both of them, like I said, are available in 6-packs. Normal retail price, $3.99 for that 6-pack. You're going to get it for $1 off for $2.99. So if you are new to the Z-Man TRD style products, it started with the regular TRD used for Ned rigging, drop shotting, a lot of those products. And because it took off and it was so super popular, they had to make it available in some bigger sizes. So this is one right here. It's a 4-inch plastic. Again, it has kind of those raised pimples on it, which hold some of that salt. This thing is extremely salt impregnated. Made of that Last Tech technology. So here we go. Let's stretch it. Look at that. Oh, so stretchy. I wish I was that stretchy as this stuff is. But then here's the 2 colors, right? It's the Deal and then California Crawl, the 2 colors that we're talking about. These are the ones that are on sale for $2.99 for a 6-pack. Now, you can still fish it with the Power Finesse Shrooms if you're like that Ned style. Otherwise, the cool thing about these is you can go to the wacky style. If you're like to do a little do-nothing bait, wacky style is the way you can fish these. You could drop shot them, you could Carolina rig them, you could Texas rig them. There's really no end in sight for this. This is an ultimate bait. And with that Last Tech technology, it still gets some ultimate movement, but then if you are Ned rigging it on the bottom, it's going to stand up. And it's going to give that little bit of tail movement, just like I'm showing you right here, that entices the fish. And we talked about this on before when we were talking about the Nedlocks heads from Z-Man. Is a lot of if you're fishing Ned style, a lot of us are guilty of fishing it too fast. The idea behind this stuff with that Elastic technology is when it's sitting on the bottom, let the plastic do its work for you. Let that small movements entice those fish. Let that salt flavoring, if they come through here and they nibble on it, then they're going to get the whole entire thing. Let that salt do the work for you. Do not fish these fast, especially if you're going to it wacky style. Whether you O-ring these, if you put an O-ring on, or if you just hook through the center or Nico rig it, go the long way around it. Let that plastic, let that salt do the work for you, especially in these 2 awesome colors. I mean, that California Crawl is probably one of the most popular colors. And that Deal's got some light blues in it. There's some pearl colors to it. They got that pepper look to it in there. Plus it's got that green pumpkin along the back. I mean, this thing has all the colors that you want, so you can fish it in clear water. It absolutely looks super natural in the water, kind of maybe mimics a bluegill at times, a shad at times, mimics some of those natural forages. But then if you want something a little different, California crawl, again, has some darker colors. That spine along this thing is a real deep dark green. And then you go into if there's some red flake that pops in there, and as you stretch it more, you know, you get some of those different colors. You have that regular green pumpkin along the bottom of it. But there's a lot of different ways to fish these baits. And these things is flat out catch fish. I don't care what you're targeting. These will even catch walleyes. Yes, they absolutely will. I do believe, here's a little tip. I do believe this is the size and the style that Joe Okada was throwing in 2021 for the PWS on the Mississippi River and absolutely crushing them. And I think he may have had it Texas rigged because he was throwing it up in some trees and he was throwing it up along some rocks. Now this one too, if you remember, what Cinco were we talking about? Was it a Berkeley or a, I can't remember the product, but we talked about like the Tiny Child rig. We've talked about a bunch of different rigs. Oh, it's a flute worm. There's a flute worm from Berkeley is what we talked about. This one here too has like a recessed head on it. So the neat thing about that is if you are going to Nico rig this or Neko rig, however you like to pronounce it, this cup style head will take some of the Z-Man weights, that shroom head that's meant for Nico rigging, and it will fit in there. And then the thing about it is when you're playing with the Z-Man products, when you're rigging it up on whether it's their head or a competitor's head, I would highly recommend go to therealshot.com. While I'm saving you money on these, remember it's $1 off, $2.99 for a 6-pack. Pick up some of that Z-Man products, like the Power Finesse Shroom. There's a weedless and a standard. And when you rig these up around that hook, around those keepers that they have, you almost want to snap it and get it up along the base of that shroom head and then snap it and it sticks in place. It's to the point it sticks so well, it holds so well that you don't really need any glue to go along with it. But if you wanted to, you could put a little bead of glue in there. And it would be the same if you're going to fish this Tiny Child rig or Nico rig, you know, that recessed head. And maybe, Scott, if I show you, is that something that you can see, whether it's this one? Where's my pen? I gotta stop moving. Look at all, there it is right here. See how that's recessed? If I kind of squeeze it, does that show you any better? I'm trying to make sure I don't. See how that's recessed right there? That fits perfect with the Z-Man shrooms or the Z-Man, like the Nico rig, the nail weight style heads to it. That's why that's recessed like that, to hold that weight in place. And when those weights are in place like that, when they're suction cupped around that hole, the chances of it pulling out of this thing, especially with that elastic plastic, are virtually, there is no chance for that to happen. So that's why they do that to this head. So whether you're Nico rigging it or you're Texas style rigging it, whatever it may be, this plastic, again, I'm stretching it. Look at, and when I stretch it too, since Scott's standing there, oops, snap. You can see the salt in it. You can see the glitter, and I'm going to switch real quick here. I'm going to go to the California crawl. Again, as I hold it, as I spin it, look at the different colors, and then you can see the red flake that's in there. Just absolute standards. Here, oh geez, you're testing me this morning, Scott. I got the shakes already, brother. Like, can you see that in there, Andrew? I mean, God, that looks good. Absolutely looks phenomenal. Thanks so much, Scott. So that's why these are the most popular colors, and that's why why are we discounting? That's absolutely insanity right now. Now, because we are discounting doesn't mean we have super large quantities. It's one of these things that our goal is to obviously save you money, get you out there having success. And when you're having success, do me a favor, share those pictures with us on our social media pages. Hey, I got this on TRS Live, or even if you got it at therealshot.com. Send us your pictures. Send us your success pictures. We'd love to use it. How awesome would it be right now on this show if all of a sudden I go to Joe, who caught a 6-pound bass on these baits right here. I would love to show that picture. So go ahead and send them in. Message us. You know, say, hey, this is one product I got on TRS Live or I got it at therealshot.com and I was able to do this with it. You know, I was able to catch my biggest fish. The other thing too is send us some testimonials. Let us know maybe why this isn't your favorite bait, or what baits maybe you would like to see on TRS Live. You're already following us. If you haven't, you better do that. Send us a couple messages, good or bad. Obviously, hopefully it's more good than bad. But let us know why you like the big TRD. You know, let us know how you fish it. There's so many different applications for these baits in particular that, you know, it's endless. Get creative with it. Let us know, you know, what your favorite method is. Now, as a disclaimer, the one thing too is we hit on with some of these Z-Man plastics is keep them in the original packaging. Like you see right here, here. Keep them in the original packaging, because the material, that Elastec material that these are made from, if you store them next to brand X's plastic, this little guy right here will melt them. It's whatever material they use in here, it's that technology. Maybe it's a competitor, like I'm going to take you out of the competition. But they will melt those plastics. So whether you have a plastic holder, a bag holder that you purchase at therealshot.com, or whether you have a whole another tackle box set up for Z-Man plastic, I highly recommend keeping them in the original packaging. It's going to help keep them more to life. It's going to help hold some of that salt impregnated, you know, flavor in there. But do not make that mistake. I have made that mistake next to other plastics, and they have absolutely melted them. So there's your disclaimer. But at that price right now, basically, you know, you're getting an awesome deal on it. Almost for your $5 savings, you can almost get yourself 2 packs. You're only out $1. That's an awesome deal. But it's the Z-Man, the big TRD, or the big turd. The real deal is that TRD stands for, just so you know. 6-pack of these. Regular price is $3.99. You're going to get them on sale right now for $2.99. And the colors in particular, California Crawl and The Deal. And while you're over there, keep adding some more stuff to the cart. Get some of those shrooms head that you're going to need to use these bad boys. And then, you know, don't check out yet though. Don't check out yet, because we talked about the blood worms. We talked about the big TRD that we're ending it with. And now you may need a rod to throw that on. So coming up next is the Daiwa Tatula. It's the original one, the XT. It's the casting rod and the medium heavy. It's a 7'3". So if you're fishing around some of that little bit heavier cover, some weeds, you know, you like to throw a TRD on a bait casting setup, well, I'm here to save you some more money. So come right back after these commercial breaks.
I'm Gary Atkins, professional angler in the National Professional Fishing League. I've been fishing professionally for 4 years. I spent 3 years as a pro in the Northern Opens, and now I've been fishing 1 year in the National Professional Fishing League. Tune in to TRS Live for the best deals on all your outdoor gear and apparel. If you're going to want a shot at the big bass, you're going to need the Real Shot.
There's the boom right there, Gary Atkins, your smallmouth specialist.
Take it from me, professional angler Gary Atkins.
It's Matt Trotz here with The Guided Life. We just met up with one of the guys from the crew, and he's like, they're on a hot track, so it's put her 4 high and get on these back roads and scream. Every year that I've been a part of that and I go to that class, I always learn something. So these guys are going to join me, and the reason I asked these 2 guys in here is because we got Travis, who does a lot of public land hunting, and then Judd and I are private land, you know, owners and hunters for the most part as well. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. We'll see you on the next one. Welcome back everybody to TRS Live. I am your host, Matt Trotz. My goal here is to educate you the best I can and save you a bunch of money. Now that's one thing too, like if you don't like my answers, if you don't like the knowledge that I'm trying to share with you, do me a favor. Reach out to the Real Shot, the sales staff here. Nick, Mike, Mark, Steve, Andrew, Ty, I mean there's Nathan, there's a lot of staff here that can answer some of your questions better. So if you say, hey, saw this product on TRS Live and I got a couple questions before I purchase it, call the store 920-750-6140 or send a message to our social media pages like we said, and they'd be happy to help you out. They'd be happy to answer your questions. Maybe it's a product that you didn't see on TRS Live. It's just something you want some more information about. They would go out to great lengths to make sure that you know exactly what's going on, especially like if you're purchasing crossbow for the first time. You know, now is the time to get your bows in. The season is quickly approaching. So, you know, if you have any more in-depth questions that I can't answer or that I didn't answer on TRS Live, send us a message to our social media or give the store a call directly, 920-750-6140. They would be happy to take care of you. So, this next product is the Daiwa Tatula XT. It's a bass casting rod. It is the medium heavy 7'3". So I called this one just before we went to break. It's the original one. So what that means is they've actually discontinued this model. They made some upgrades to it, but that doesn't mean that you lose the warranty. That doesn't mean that there's any imperfections to this rod. It just means they felt like they needed to upgrade a series, and that's what they did. But if you're like me and you love your original Daiwa Tatula XT here, this is the time to add some more to your arsenal before they are absolute gone, because that means they are no longer making them. So normal retail price, you see it on your screen right now, is $99.99 with a big old slash through it, because the sale price right here, $65.99, is an awesome deal. For this is one of those, at that $99 price range, this was a high-end performance rod at a great price. Now it's still a high-end performing rod at an even better price. So this is one that if you are looking to upgrade your rods, if you have a bunch of these rods already and you love them, now is the time to take advantage of that sale price and add them to your cart, and then, you know, use these rods for whatever you feel fit. Now the medium heavy, that's 7'3", is, to me, it's one of the most universal rods out there. We talked about before on the show, I need a rod to do pretty much everything. Now, if you are starting out into fishing and you have that mentality, like this is my first bait casting rod, I have it paired with this reel, this is the pretty much one to do a lot of things in the bait casting world for a rod. So that 7'3", medium heavy, that medium heavy allows you to fish some heavier cover, allows you to fish a little bit heavier baits, but it still gives you the great action. It still gives you the great backbone that you know and love in some of the other rods. So like some of the presentations, let's talk about that. Texas rigging. So if you were fishing that big TRD that we just talked about, you know, this is a great application for that. If you're under docks, if you're along some lighter wood structure, if you're in some, you know, some weeds, you know, still you can fish top water. Like a frog, you can fish some of those other baits like that on the top water side, some poppers, smaller jigs. So if you're flipping some smaller jigs, skipping along docks, so you know, that 7'3" is just that happy medium length. For if you're a guy my stature, I'm right around 5'10", 5'11", depending on, you know, what day of the week it is. I don't like a 7'6" for those purposes. I can't skip, I can't roll cast, I can't do that kind of stuff without hitting the water per se and getting a backlash. So for me, that 7'3" is that perfect complement to what I'm actually fishing. It's still long enough that I can still flip accurately, but I can reach it. I can make good pitches, make good flips without you know, losing a lot of applications. The medium heavy too, on the flip side of it, if you are a walleye fisherman, this is a great rod if you are pulling flies. It's not absolutely too long that you're outside your radar, you're outside your graphing, you know, but it's still the right action, still all right, enough of that backbone. If you're pulling some heavier fly rigs that we've talked about with those three-way swivels, or some Wolf River rigs, this rod is perfect for that. You can even throw some spinner baits on it, some vibrating jigs on it. You know, we've so much talked about the Z-Man products on this show, the chatter baits, the vibrating jigs. You can fish that. Crank baits if you want. So if you're looking for a one rod to kind of do everything, especially at an awesome price, this is a rod for you. Now, Again, kind of like with the blood worm, I can tell you how great it is and I can tell you, the benefits of it, but why not take a different angle and kind of educate you on some certain aspects and get a little bit of knowledge out of today's show. You're already saving a bunch of money. That's my goal. That's the easy thing for me to do, is to tell you a little bit about the action of these rods is kind of what I wanted to go to. So a lot of us refer to the power or the backbone, right? And that's maybe one of the confusing things. So again, I kind of did a little homework here, and I'm going to try to give you just a little generic knowledge to what that absolutely means. So the power or the backbone is the rating of how easily the rod will bend under pressure. So here, for example, I'm kind of bending this one, and out of the tip, this is a little stiffer. But if I wanted to, I could bend it way over, and I know this is hard for me to get it all on the screen here. But the power, the backbone, is the rating at how easily that rod bends under pressure. Now, it's not necessarily the strength at the point of what weight or resistance will make the rod begin to bend. So it's not necessarily strength. A lot of us, maybe, when I know I was guilty of it, we get confused and we think about medium, heavy more on the application. Well, what it really is on majority of your better performing rod, your better rods, what they're actually going to do, and I'll try to go here, Scott, it's got to hold it out a little bit. They have ratings on them. So right here, what's this a good way? It's okay, right there, perfect. So you see your ratings, and the ratings it's your lure weight and your line weight. That is actually something that's even more particular than what the strength really is. So pay attention to that, because that's going to tell you the lure weight, up to the range you can kind of fish, and then the line weight. So like when you come to the reel shop and you're looking to purchase this rod, one of the things the staff is going to ask you right away is the application, right? What are you throwing on it? What is the absolute, what are you looking to do with it? Well, you can say, hey, I'm looking to do some frogging with it. Well, then they're going to be like, okay, now maybe, what is the size of the frogs? Or maybe I'm looking to do a little Texas rigging. So they're going to be like, okay, this is a great rod for it, but if you're not fishing super heavy stuff. So again, it's, to kind of reiterate that, it's not necessarily the strength. It's at what point or weight or resistance will make that rod begin to bend. The number one thing to think about is what weight of lure you will be throwing. That's kind of like what we talked about. So that, in a quick synopsis, is kind of what the power or the backbone really is. And a lot of people look at it, they'll see you bending a rod on the floor, where that backbone kicks in. And that has a lot to do with it. Don't get me wrong. Like, this is just kind of a real quick point to let you know what you should be looking for. But as much as the application comes into play, it's really the weight, the line weight, the lure weight is what you should be paying attention to. And everything that we covered with this application for this rod, it will fit into there. Now, the other thing too is, just because we hit on it, it is a discontinued model, right? That's what allows us to sell it at such an amazing price. But you're still going to get that limited 5-year warranty. Now, that is a manufacturer direct warranty. So if you purchase this rod from the Reel Shop, thank you so much. We do appreciate that. But you're going to have to contact the manufacturer directly if you do have any issues with it. So what you're going to have to do is go through the manufacturer. There's probably a registration process on their Daiwa website that you're going to have to do. But I mean, this is a great rod. I know I have it. I think a number of staff members here have it, because at first it was $99. It's a great rod to get you introduced to bait casting world. It's a great rod that's going to do a lot of different things. But now, even at $65.99, now it's one that I need to complement those rods that I got for $100. But I'm still getting that 5-year limited warranty on it. So do not shy away from that. We talked about, there's the Fuji aluminum oxide guys, right? The EVA split grip, which is, if you look here, I'll kind of hold it up. If you look here, there's not a whole lot of foregrip on it. It's really nice and compact, so the reel seat sits perfectly, but then it comes down from the top. It actually pinches the reel seat in there. But then there's not a whole lot of EVA foam up here. There's just enough to give you grip, but enough to get that finger on the blank, to give you that extra sensitivity, to give you that extra feel. Then we talked about here, we have the split grip down here in the bottom. So it goes from the blank, runs all the way through, right back into some more EVA foam, which helps balance the rod. Really nice pistol grip on here. It has a Fuji ACS reel seat to it. But then we get right here. The nice thing too is, again, where I got to bring it in there. there's your hook keeper right there. Best of both worlds, right? It's open enough where if I don't have to unrig my Texas rig baits, my baits where I have a hook into my plastic or my frog, I can just hook it right in there. But then it's open, you can kind of see it right there. It's still open enough that where if I have, let's say I'm fishing that TRD with a bigger Ned set on there, you know, I can still run the hook point right through here and not have to worry about it. So that's a nice convenient hook keeper. It's right above the reel. So instead of hooking your bait right to your bait casting reel, it has a nice reel seat up or a hook point right there. We talked about the Fuji aluminum oxide guys, right? Exceptional feel sensitivity and strength to weight ratio. It's got a good balance to it, and that's even more critical. So if you have a reel at home, you know, look up the specs, get some more information on it. I think this one, did it say on the overall weight of it? It's fairly light rod. So if you compare this with a very light bait casting reel and get a very well balanced rod, which is going to allow you to have better feel, which is allow you going to have better casting, better accuracy, all that kind of stuff too. So there's a lot that goes into it, but I can tell you that this at $65.99, you won't be disappointed with your purchase. You'll absolutely love it. Has 8+ tip, guides on it, line weight, we talked about that. It's 12 to 20 pounds were the benefits of it. Lure weight now, again, kind of if you're going down to that lure weight, 1/4 to 1 ounce application. So there's a lot that you can do with this rod, but you can really get into it as well. And this is a phenomenal rod at $65.99. So it's a Daiwa 2XT bass casting rod, medium heavy, 7'3". Normal retail price is $99.99. Now you can get it on sale. I think that's pretty much until it's gone, but don't quote me on that one, for $65.99. A perfect complement to the big TRD from Z-Man that we just got done talking about. But we got one more left here, TRS Live, before we wrap up our Monday. We are talking about the Bee Fishing Authentics Ringworm, another walleye killer bait. This thing would do well early spring for walleyes, and if not all year long. Black Chartreuse Tail, Stewart's Pro Blue are the colors that we'll be talking about right after these final commercial breaks.
I'm Gary Atkins, professional angler in the National Professional Fishing League. Tune in to TRS Live for the best deals on all your outdoor gear and apparel. If you're going to want a shot at the big bass, you're going to need the real shot. Take it from me, professional angler Gary Atkins.
Hey, it's Matt Trotz here with The Guided Life. We just met up with one of the guys from the crew, and he's like, they're on a hot track, so it's put her 4 high and get on these back roads and scream.
Every year that I've been a part of that and I go to that class, I always learn something.
So these guys are gonna join me, and the reason I asked these 2 guys in here is because we got Travis, who does a lot of public land hunting, and then Judd and I are private land, owners and hunters for the most part as well. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. We'll see you on the next one. Welcome back, everybody, to TRS Live. I am your host, Matt Trotz, and we got one last final product to go here. We're kind of covering all spectrums from panfish to bass to now walleye and bass and whatever else you want to catch on it. The Bee Fishing Authentics Ringworm is the product that's up next. And Andrew, you got any B-roll of that one? We can show people. Look at the great colors right now. Black Chartreuse Tail and Stewart's Pro Blue. I always wonder how they come up with some of these names. They're interesting names. I'm sure there's backstories behind it. But the Stewart's Pro Blue is one of those, again, translucent, what's the vampire movie, Lucian, that kind of looks through it, similar to a shad profile. You know, it's a good looking bait. And again, in some of that dark stained water, you want to go with that black with that little bit of kick, that chartreuse tail. So to me, we hit on the Moxie, I believe, is the bait we already hit on here. And it's that ringworm profile. So as I run my fingers through it, you can kind of see those segmented bodies, how important that really is. Not only does that add salt, or that adds some flavor to it, these have a nice smell to them as well. I know Dylan Williams, who's on the chat, would love me smelling these suckers. But, you know, it also adds to some more vibration to that bait. And this is one you're probably going to fish with a jig head, whether it's a tungsten jig head, round ball. You know, this would even work with some of the Z-Man stuff. Would really help hold it on there. It's got some good stretch to it. But you're going to fish this early. Dubuque Rig. You can rig it that way. You could rig it on the, what was the other one now? Man, I'm really drawing blank here. Yeah, Dubuque Rig. There's a lot of different styles to it. But that segmented body is going to add some vibration to it. This little curly tail right here that you see is going to add some good motion to it. It's going to really attract those fishing from afar, give a little more extra vibration to it. You can see it just right there, how pretty that little tail is. You can really see that segmented body. What is it? It's a 4-inch long plastic. So again, we talked about how much benefits there are to the plastics. You know, keeping your hands dry, keeping you out of keeping live bait, right? You know, alive, all that less stuff you have to worry about. But you know, it's got a nice profile head to it, kind of like it's like a round style head to it. That's going to give you a little extra room for that jig to fit on. That segmented body, but I think it was the Moxie when we were talking about that, how the segments really come through. But it's that slender profile early on in the year that them fish are really targeting. And the nice thing about the plastics here from Bee Fishing is this stuff is still supple enough that even at a slower retrieve, a lot less movement to that bait is still going to get you some pretty big action. Whether it's through that curly tail or the current, if you're fishing through a river system, kind of running through the segmented body portion right here, it's still going to give you a lot of action when you're virtually like a do-nothing style bait, like we talked about with that TRD. You know, if you're just letting this thing, you're just slowly dragging it or slowly hopping it along the bottom. You know, this thing is still going to have some really good movement to it. You know, but then we talked about it's that beefed up neck portion of the 4-inch ringworm that's going to provide the durability. And again, it's, you know, I'm not going to stretch this thing as far as I would stretch the Z-Man stuff, but I'm still putting a lot of tension on there, especially if early on in the season the fish are kind of light biting, or maybe they're tail portion only and you wanted to add a stinger hook to this. You could still do that, and it's only a 4-inch bait, so that long in the year, maybe you got to feed it a little bit more. So as the fish come through, they hit, you feel the bite, and you think they might just have the bottom portion bit on, then feed them a little bit. Give them a little bit of line, then they'll swallow it up. I mean, with that flavor to these Bee Fishing Authentics plastics, then they'll absolutely absorb that bait. Then you can go ahead and set the hook. But it's got great durability. It's going to get great action. Bee fishing, we talked about that, you know, with Walt. They're well known in the industry, an early season bait. But yet, we so often think of this as a springtime only. But there's a lot of purposes all year long to this bad boy. Fishing it around the weed lines for those walleyes. You can even drop shot this. This would be maybe a secret bait for drop shotting for smallies. It's just, and it's gone. It's just one of those things that maybe nobody ever thinks about. You could drop shot this all day long. There's a lot of benefits to this little bad boy. And especially at normally $4.39 for a 12-pack, right now $3.79. This is one of those deals is like stock up now for next spring. Get them in now. That black chartreuse tail, that water usually in the spring of the year is a little more murky, a little more stained. This right here is going to stand out a lot more. That chartreuse tail is going to be a little extra attractant. That ring portion, that segmented body is going to add it. Start stocking up now. Why wait? Add to that arsenal. Get these bad boys now while they're available and in stock at therealshot.com. And only that sale price at $3.79 is available at therealshot.com. So it's an awesome plastic. Catches a lot of style fish. Majority it's going to be used for early season walleyes. A lot of movement to it, whether you drag it or you're hopping it along the bottom, or you're just, you know, you can even kind of lightly swim it, get it up off the bottom a little bit with the right style jig and just slowly swim it back here. That paddle, that curly tail is going to give you a little extra movement. It's going to add a lot of movement to the water with that segmented body. But not, right now is the time. You know, we're rolling into fall. They're feeding up right now. They're starting to get hungry. 12 in a pack. You'll probably, if you're on a hot bite, you'll probably go through all 12. So why not risk the fact of having only one pack? Add a bunch to your arsenal. It's the Bee Fishing Authentics. It's the ringworm 4-inch plastic, the chartreuse tail, black chartreuse tail, and Stewart's Pro Blue are the colors that are on sale for $3.79 only at therealshot.com. And with that note, now, if you are able to, now you can check out. You have the products that we talked about, add it to it. Raise your hand if you're going to try the bloodworm this winter. I will definitely be trying that out. There's Dylan. He loves it when I sniff these plastics here. So a lot of great baits today. A lot of great opportunities. If you want a TRD at a sales price, if you want a bloodworm at a sales price, that Daiwa Tatula XT rod, you know, right? That's a great sales price. And now these even, it's like, why are we discounting all this stuff? Because we want you to save money and go out there and have a bunch of fun catching fish. So again, if you haven't smashed that like, subscribe, that follow, all that kind of stuff, if you haven't got yourself entered into the giveaway that the Real Shot's doing on the Real Shot Facebook page, now is the time. Now is the time to check out, save yourself some money. But we're not done for the week, man. We got 2 more shows coming up this week. So TRS Live is every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. So I'm going to wrap this one up, and I will see you Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time.